trying to find how to get to where we were.
Okay.
But he was straight Texas. I mean, he had that dialect, the twang, the whole works. He was deep Texas. And people are looking at me like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, what? I didn't do anything. I just naturally went into it. Because, I mean, he had this, the energy to his conversation was just out there. So he was like, hey, buddy, I need your help. Well, friend, what do you need? And I told him how to get to where we were. But, you deal with that kind of energy when you get that kind of energy. I mean, he was a nice guy.
Excellent, yeah. When they're friendly and polite, it doesn't matter what their accent is.
Exactly.
It's okay that you can hear where people are from. It doesn't matter if people have an accent. It's how they treat you.
Oh, most definitely.
So if you're impolite, I can be pretty impolite too.
I mean, I spent time in the Middle East. Well, I lived there for 3 years.
Okay.
And I wouldn't say, oh God. I mean, because 99% of the people that I met were wonderful. I mean, yeah. I lived and worked in Bahrain. Yeah. I also worked in Qatar. I went to Dubai. And then I worked in Pakistan.
Yeah.
Every one of those countries, I had an absolute ball. Because as soon as you start talking, because they don't know for sure what you are until you start talking. Once they realize that you're an American, it's like, oh, you're from the States? Yes. Everybody treated me with respect, but one incident, and that was alcohol related.
Hey, you always have some people, There are some people
there's always.
Everywhere around the world. You have some of those.
Yep. There's always going to be that one person, but 99%.
Well, being a female, I don't think I'd get the same reaction that you got.
No. No. As a matter of fact, one of our sailors put a guy in the hospital because, and it's been they've done articles about it because she was in a cab with him, and he thought that he could take liberties with her.
Oh.
Well, what he didn't know was that she was a mixed martial artist. So
right.
So it wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty.
Okay, peeps, it is fast approaching 1:45 on my watch. So if we can all mute again for, once I've checked that I've set the audio recording in my pocket, which I have apparently, we shall begin. So welcome back. This is session 2 of day 1 of Stay at Home and Hypnotize. As I said before, and I'm going to repeat it again because repetition is one of the main tools of a hypnotist. Over the next, the rest of today and then 3 more days, you will get all the pieces of the jigsaw, genuinely and sincerely, the core essence of how I've earned my living for the past 30 years. Which has enabled me, again, this is going to sound like I'm bragging, but the reason is I want you to either be envious and angry at making I sound big-headed, that you go, I'm going to do better than he ever did, which is great, because that means then you'll be successful and go out into the world and put this into action, which is what I want. Or I want you to be inspired, which is another way you could react and go, wow, if that absolute idiot is capable of that, what am I capable of? Because, you can have that thought process. And again, that's fine, because it means you'll go out and do something and be successful. It doesn't matter what your reaction is, as long as it motivates you to go out and do something different. Because if you keep doing what you've always done, you'll keep getting what you've always got. So if you are not currently at a point in your life where you are financially independent and free, if this COVID crisis came to you like, shit, I can't see clients, and you were worrying how you were going to pay the bills, then you should have got off your arse sooner to create multiple streams of passive income, which I will teach you how to do the core essence of before the end of these 4 days. It's amazing how many people out there, therapists, who are not yet doing online sessions. or if they are, they're crap at advertising, so they're not getting as many clients as they want. Because the key is, you're in the business. You're in the business of sales. You are not a stage hypnotist. If you think that, you're a fucking idiot. You are not a hypnotherapist. If you think that, go on, you can say it now. You're a fucking idiot. And that is why you will not get any further in the business. What you're in the business of is sales. The fact is that you may sell stage hypnosis shows, or you might think you do, because you still don't sell that. You might think that you sell hypnotherapy sessions. Again, having that mentality will get you further in your career than thinking you're a stage hypnotist or hypnotherapist, but it won't help you fulfill your full potential, because you're not selling stage hypnosis shows or hypnotherapy sessions. You are selling laughter, memories, unforgettable experiences of entertainment for whatever context market you're selling to. Or you're selling the freedom to be able to take that job opportunity overseas that they've not been able to because up till now they've been shit scared of flying. You're selling life changes, benefits. You're not selling an hour of your time as a therapist or an hour or more as an entertainer. While you're stuck in that mode, yes, you'll make more than the people who think they're stage hypnotist or hypnotherapist, because realising that you're a salesperson. But if you think you're selling stage hypnosis shows or therapy sessions or both, yes, you'll earn more than the ones below you, but you can't get the real cream at the top until you realise what you're selling. What people will pay a premium for is unforgettable experiences and emotional life adventures and events. You might provide that through a stage hypnosis show, but that's not the way to sell it. Same with therapy, it's the benefit. There's that old saying in sales, sell the sizzle, not the sausage. You've got to sell the benefits to them, not what it actually is, what it will do for them. You've got to whiff them. That's nothing to do with the smell. It's W-I-I-F-M, whiff them. What's in it for me? That is what people think, whether consciously or unconsciously, before they choose to buy something or before they choose to pay more to come to you or me than to the person who thinks they're supplying a hypnotherapy session or they're a hypnotherapist. If you get my point. That is what will take them over the edge to happily pay double, triple, quadruple the amount of money for your services than someone who effectively is offering the same. It's just this person's putting the focus on, I'm a hypnotherapist or a stage hypnotist, whereas you will be, by the end of this, more so, if you already do it, or you will start doing it if you don't already, selling the positive benefit, the experience, the emotional feeling to them, to make it so that there is no question about price. Once that person believes that you have got what they want to feel in here and feel in here how they want to feel, then they'll go into debt if they have to. I'm not encouraging you to get people in debt, but I'm just saying that people will do the most ridiculous things. They can, I hear so many therapists go, I couldn't possibly charge that. Clients in my area can't, don't earn enough. Maybe they don't, but you know what? They managed to save up enough money to take the family on holiday. If they valued what you offer to the same level as the holiday for their family, they would save the money. They would make it happen. That is about, you might say that sales is manipulating people's emotions to make them buy things that perhaps they didn't really need. And the truth is, to a degree, that's true. But the only way you're ever going to be truly successful is by selling them something they don't really need, because guess what? No fucker needs you. Or me. Don't worry, I'm not saying you in particular. I come into that category. They don't. We've got to convince them that they do. And if you want to charge a premium, you've got to convince them why they should go to you or me as opposed to, somebody else. And that is where, through studying marketing, advertising, publicity and promotion, when I was very young I started doing that because I was promoting my magic shows. And through also learning about magic and psychology, before I ever got into hypnosis, I realised that, and particularly from a book by, actually I've got it right here, I'm slightly going out of camera shot, but there we go. That book, Zero Resistance Selling. And it's based on Maxwell Maltz's book, Psycho-Cybernetics. So when you order this, also order a copy of Maxwell Maltz's Psycho-Cybernetics book, okay? Both of them you'll get on Amazon second-hand for a couple of quid each. But this is arguably the best sales book you'll ever read. And the reason it's the best is because it is based on Maxwell Maltz's Psycho-Cybernetics book, which, paraphrased down to its essence, in my words, but when you read Maxwell Maltz's Psycho-Cybernetics, you will recognise what I'm about to talk about during this session, albeit that he uses different words and terminology than me in a lot of the places. But ultimately his book narrows down to this, and this is my foundation for saying to you that no fucking need you. Because the truth is, hypnosis doesn't exist, and if you think it does, you're wrong. And yeah, you might be sat there going, no, he's a non-state theorist, but there's all this evidence that shows changes in the brain. Yep, and that evidence that exists for changes in the brains is bullshit from fundamental reason. The fundamental reason being, it is impossible to test somebody using one of those machines in a manner where there isn't some form of verbal and or non-verbal implied suggestion of importance about the testing. Otherwise you wouldn't be doing the bloody test in the first place. It's an impossible thing to do. So therefore, suggestion has become involved straight away, and therefore it's a worthless test. I'm not going to waste loads of time on it, but let me tell you that the studies galore, if you actually go into electroencephalographs, I can't say the fucking word, EEGs and all that nonsense, in terms of testing for hypnotherapy and it being a distinctly different state, it's bullshit. They're not really reliable. All it is really is a piece of software that gives you a fancy picture interpretation. It's bullshit. Look into it if you want to waste a load of time. You don't need to. And you don't even need to agree with me. But I'm telling you, it's a lot easier for your future success if you realise hypnosis doesn't exist. Suggestion does, but a distinct state that's different of hypnosis, bullshit. There isn't one. Hypnosis exists only in the mind of the believer. Now, this sounds like a paradox. I am, over the course of the next few days, going to tell you that you can, and I categorically am telling you, you can hypnotise people against their will. Yes, you can. You can hypnotise, I'm not saying you should because that's illegal, but you can do it, and I've done it for media projects where the context was provably warranted and legal enough. You can hypnotise people without their knowledge, without their consent. You can make people do things that totally contradict the morals and the values. You can make them do illegal things. Yes, you can make mind-controlled assassins to kill people. Yes, you can make mind-controlled sex slaves by creating multiple personalities and split areas of the mind. Conventional psychiatry and DSM Volume 5 refer to it as multiple personality disorder. It used to be called schizophrenia at one time. They give it different names over the years to keep selling drugs to people for no good reason. That's by the by, that's not what we're here for. But I'm telling you for a fact that when you realise and accept that all of those things are possible, it becomes easier to realise and accept that you can consistently make people change their lives like that in one session, whatever the bloody thing is from A through to Z that they might come with, as long as you know what you're doing. And here's the thing, most therapy courses will never teach you how to hypnotise people against their will. Most therapy courses will never teach you how to make people do things they don't want to do. Most therapy courses will not teach you how to compartmentalise somebody's brain, effectively splintering their psychological unconscious mind into different partitions, creating multiple personalities, or restoring the already existing multiple personalities into one complete whole. Because most therapy trainers don't have a fucking clue what they're doing and don't know or believe that this exists. I'm telling you now, it does. If you don't believe me, that's fine, it's your loss. But once you realise, and I tell you now, on this particular thing, we've got Keith Anthony Taylor. If you go on my hypnosisweek.com, I've done an interview with Keith, who's in the Stay at Home and Hypnotize group, and if you seek that out and listen to it, as well as the one that I did with Neil Saunders, and listen to them, we go into great depth and provide the proof of how you can make people do things against their will. How MK Ultra is not some kind of conspiracy theory, it is a fact. How George Esterbrook, who wrote the book Hypnosis, but the volume that's available now, had a chapter removed. There were limited copies that went out that had a chapter in called Hypnosis and Warfare that actually taught you how to do this. What did that chapter genuinely tell you how to do it? Pretty much, having seen it and having been taught by Delavar, who wrote the Hypnotist Bible that's in the BOOTCAMP, who has done such things for the military in wartime. When you realise that what you've read in most books is bullshit, but it works, why does it work? You're thinking, because that's the obvious thing. Well, if it's bullshit, but what I'm doing works, does it matter? But with most of the clients, no, it doesn't, admittedly. But with some clients, the reason you won't be getting results is because you won't be using certain techniques or using them to their full capacity because you've been led to believe what you read in certain books or watched on certain courses you've done with the majority of trainers who tell you you can't be hypnotised against your will, you can't be made to do things you don't want to do, you can't be turned into a mind-controlled assassin, sex slave, and all that kind of stuff. If you've ever done training from someone who tells you that none of that's possible, I'm telling you now, they're fucking shit hypnotists and don't know what they're doing or what they're fucking talking about. And if that offends anyone watching, sorry, it gets a whole bunch worse over the next few days. For those that can bear with the fact that this will rattle a lot of you inside, because it will push those buttons of, why the fuck did I give that person $2.5 for that course? Why have I spent money on that course when what I was told was bullshit from somebody who's never achieved anything in the real world? Because most therapy trainers, you look at them, they make their sole income from training. I'm not going to mention names, but good Christ almighty, there's more and more jumping up. They're only a name in the industry, within the industry, to people in the industry. You've seen their advertising because of the courses they've done. Outside of the courses, they've never done anything of note. They couldn't earn a fucking living treating clients if they tried. That's why they're trying to do courses all the time. In fact, I still do shows. I get paid multiple high 4 and 5 figure sums to fly around the world doing shows. All expenses paid, flying first or business class depending on the client, stopping in 5, 6 star hotels. Yes, there are 6 star hotels. Therapy wise, 500 quid minimum. But some clients pay thousands upon thousands of pounds for the same hour to 2 hour therapy session. Again, I'm not saying this to brag, I'm saying it to tell you that you are fully capable of doing this when you realise that I'm telling you exactly the truth of how I've done it for the past 30 years and I'm still doing it. That's why if you go and do some due diligence, which I hope you did before you came on this, but if you haven't, before tomorrow's session, if you go, the starting point is to go to hypnotismexposed.co.uk, and I've got a list of 10 questions you should ask any hypnosis trainer before you spend a penny with them. Although you never will spend a penny with any other hypnosis trainer at the end of these 4 days, if you've got any sense, because you won't need to. But it will show you those questions, and then don't just take the person's answer for them, independently research for yourself for 2 reasons. A, so you don't get ripped off. B, because most of them lie about what they've done and when you check it out, they haven't. I encourage you to do that with me as well, because your research will prove to you I've done well over 200 TV shows around the world. I've had my own 1 hour TV special on German RTL TV in the early 90s. I've had my own 6-part European TV series in the late 90s, early 2000s. I've appeared in every national daily newspaper in England and every Sunday newspaper on numerous occasions over the past 30 years. Other than Paul McKenna, I am the only British hypnotherapist, only hypnotherapist as far as I know, to ever be on the front page of the Sun newspaper at a time when it was the biggest red paper in England, with a double page spread inside as well for curing a lady's fear of traffic wardens. I'm the only British hypnotherapist to ever be featured in USA Today, the America's biggest read, syndicated, every state in America national daily newspaper. I was in there with a therapeutic encounter I had with Robert De Niro and Billy Crystal, yes, the world famous actors, when we were promoting their film Analyze That. Again, I don't tell you this stuff, the fact that I've done almost 1,000 radio shows around the world, the fact that I've hypnotised celebrities, the fact that I've been linked in the past to page 3 girls, glamour models galore, helping motivate them mind-wise behind the scenes. The fact that after I hypnotised not Wickham Wanderers, although I've hypnotised them, but Blackburn Rovers and Wigan Athletic, I've hypnotised them and got them into the Premiership, which is the highest league in football in England at the time. I know they may have dropped down afterwards, but they stopped working with me. Hey, different manager. I tell you this partly to brag, but mainly to motivate you, because all of those things were achieved through 2 things. 1, effective marketing, advertising, publicity and promotion, which I'll cover on Sunday. But number 2, the core understanding of what I'm going to teach you in this session today, which are the final building blocks before tomorrow, when I'll teach you the structure of the complete mind therapy session and the structure of the complete unconscious reprogramming of emotional disease and distress, cured session, and whatnot. But here's the rest of the building blocks. So, recap. Hypnotherapy sessions are made up of 7 points, according to Brian Howard, the first course I ever did. That's get rapport, induce the trance, deepen the trance, do the ego strengthening therapy, do the necessary therapy, implant the major post-hypnotic suggestion, awaken them from trance. 7 steps. Stage hypnosis shows or public demonstrations, effectively the same, just ever so slightly different. Get rapport, suggestibility, get rapport, which also is your pre-talk and suggestibility test, induce the trance, deepen the trance, ego strengthening therapy. What was therapy specific to them is now the comedy routines or the demonstrations. Major post-hypnotic suggestion, they'll feel better after the event, but you do have a major post-hypnotic with the stage hypnosis show at the beginning. That whenever you say sleep, they'll go back to sleep. And whenever you awaken them, they'll do whatever you say as an automatic reflex action and then awaken from trance. Effectively, it's the same thing. Therapy and stage is the same. Therapy is a stage show, it's a performance. It's just that sometimes you're performing to one person, one-on-one, in the consulting room, or over the camera for Skype, Zoom, Facebook Messenger video, or another video platform. Or it could be to a group of people for group therapy sessions. But ultimately, the structure is the bloody same. And as I said before, if you were to just go, what's your name? What do your family and friends call you? Oh, excellent. So, Barry the Pirate, is it okay if I call you that? The moment they accept, you've got that rapport and trust level up there. And then you tell them to close their eyes, and just so long as they keep their eyes tightly closed at all times, unless I say otherwise, you will find that the work we do here today together will, just so long as you use your powers of intelligence, imagination and concentration effectively, be 1,000,000% successful for you. Not yet, if you understand. Once they enter that therapeutic contract, onus on them. And that's very important, the fact that the onus is on them. I'll come to the reason why in a minute. You then follow your script, awaken them. The job is done as long as your advertising was done right, because if the advertising's done right, 99%, if not more, of the therapy's done before you even get on the video Zoom call with them, or before you arrive at their house or they arrive at your office. Because here is the thing. They just need an excuse. They just need a kind of psychological shield to remove all self-blame, shame, guilt and regret. That is the core of hypnotherapy or any psychological talking therapy or stage hypnosis. It's this. The individual, and that is why it's almost close to the truth when people say, all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. Well, yeah, arguably it is. But really truly powerful, effective hypnosis is when you don't tell the client that all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. One of the worst things you can do, give away the perceived power, for two reasons. A, if you appear to have a magic wand, you can wave for them, and they believe it, and they end up feeling like a magic wand's been waved, then as long as they feel as though a magic wand's been waved and believe it has, and perceive it that way, it doesn't matter what really occurred, because to them, their reality is the magic wand was waved, in which case they will get the result that they desired. Very, very important lesson there. Now, also, if you tell them all hypnosis is self-hypnosis, you're more often than not telling them they're wrong. Because most clients have the preconceived idea that hypnosis is what they've seen on films and TV of sleep, you will do what I tell you. Look into the eyes, not around the eyes, into the eyes, you're under. Or some other bullshit. Which, a lot of you may say, well, no, it's not like that. We have to tell the client it isn't. Wrong. Biggest mistake you've been making. If the client comes and says, oh, you're not going to make me do something daft like one of those stage hypnotists, are you? The worst thing you can do is say, no, it's all right, love, it's nothing like that. Hypnotherapy is entirely different. You will not be running around like a chicken. The moment you say that, you look shit to your client. You do. Because what you've effectively said is that you can't do what that stage hypnotist can do. Because the only reason they ask, what they were really asking, consciously, they may appear to be afraid, bullshit. What they actually want to hear is that you can do that. Because that's what they believe you should be able to do if you're any good as a hypnotist. Because logically, if you could make them get their clothes off and smear themselves with tomato sauce thinking it was shower gel, then you could quite easily tell them to never smoke another cigarette or to avoid sugary or fatty foods. Logically, in their mind, at a deep ingrained unconscious level, logically, that would be far easier than getting them to get the clothes off and smear themselves in tomato ketchup as a shower gel. Yes, something I did in the early 90s in shows. Don't anymore. Anyway, I digress. So your correct answer should be, and trust me, I've had students in the past who've been therapists for years, and this one technique alone has transformed their success rate in terms of how deep they believe clients went, in terms of the experience that the client said they had, in terms of everything. By answering instead along the lines of, oh yeah, Dave, or Barry the Pirate, because you've already established rapport, remember? So you're on that trust level. So now he trusts you like a family member or his close friend, so he's going to believe anything you say. So if you confirm what he thinks, what he fears to be true, but in a way that doesn't scare him, he will think you're as good or better than the people he's heard about that can do this. So it will elevate your status and make what you do more likely to work. But at the same time, you can actually dissipate any fear he may have of getting his kit off and smearing himself with tomato ketchup, a shower gel. You need to do both in one. And the reaction for that is you go, yeah, Barry the Pirate. Of course we can do that. If you want to do the whole thing where you cluck like a chicken, bark like a dog, get your clothes off, smear yourself in tomato ketchup like it's shower gel, and I can also take some pictures for you to take away to prove that you did it if you want. We've got a problem, or you've only paid for an hour of my time, and you've come here to, you know, overcome your fear of flying. So if we're going to do that stuff, it's going to take another half hour or so. So I'm going to need to charge you another, if you're charging 500 quid, you say half an hour, I'm going to have to charge you another £250. So would you like to pay another 250 quid, or shall we just crack on and sort out your that fear of flying you used to have before you walked in the office today? Notice I say that you used to have before you walked in the office. Because the moment they walk through your door or connect with you on Zoom or whatever, you always talk in terms of the fact that they no longer have that issue they had when they booked the session with you. Because that's how confident you are and how good you are at what you do. And what Barry the Pirate will say is, I've never had it that they turn around and go, here's another 250 quid. If they did, I'd take the 250 quid off them, get this consent form signed, and I'd video the sessions anyway for reasons we'll explain later, so that I'm covered legally and insurance-wise. And I'd let him experience whatever he wanted to experience, because I know in that moment, they're making that financial commitment, that they would actually do it, and they would have that experience. But what will happen, and it's always happened, is that they'll go, oh no, I don't want to do that. I'm just asking, I want to get on with overcoming my fear of flying or whatever. And the result of that is, fuck off pop-ups, that will be sorted tomorrow. The result is they feel safe that you're not going to do it because there isn't enough time and they're not paying you any more money. So they're no longer scared that they're going to end up naked, smearing themselves in tomato ketchup like shower gel or anything else. But they believe that you could if there was enough time and they paid you. So they believe you're as good as or better than those preconceived ideas in their head, which means you're confirming to them what they thought was true. And when you confirm to somebody what they thought is true, it makes them feel good because they were right. When you tell somebody they're wrong, even if you educate them on as to why, which is a lie anyway, because it's close to the truth what we're telling them, because you can make people do things against their will, except computers. That's what you have your wife for, to deal with that tomorrow. They will elevate your status, and psychologically your job's done in that therapy session. It was done 99% before they got there because of your marketing, advertising, publicity and promotion and the fact that you charge enough. But answering it in that way gives you the status of, yes, I can do that. I'm as good, if not better than those people, but also makes them calm, relaxed and feel safe with you. So that's an important lesson. Next thing, also they're doing that in a level where you've already got that rapport at the family and friends level, which you know that simple sentence, what do your family and friends call you? Is it okay if I call you that? When they say yes, that will give you an instant level of rapport that is deeper and more connective. If you believe in energy, more energetic, you'll feel the energy shift change. The most hypnotherapists ever get with their clients talking shit with them for 20 minutes over a questionnaire. Really. So, next important lesson. I learned, thanks to Maxwell Maltz, Psycho-Cybernetics, and that's why I say that's the best-selling book I showed you before, because it's based on his principles. My worded version of his principles, that I think expand on them and make them a little bit better actually. More specific to hypnotherapy anyway. Not necessarily better, just more specific to psychological talking therapies. Is that you may have heard of Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of human needs. You can go Google it and see the pyramid and the fact people need security, shelter, warmth, they need to feel safe, they need food and water and all that kind of nonsense. They need to feel worthy and all that. But more important than food, more important than water arguably, more important than any of them, is that a person needs to feel worthy. Now, I'll give you an example. If a baby is left, even if they're given food and water and whatnot, if they are left and never picked up from birth at a very early age, there have been studies done where some will die because of lack of touch. Seriously, Google it, research it. In essence, yes, there's more to it than that, but in essence, a lack of touch, because touch creates the release of certain bodily chemicals, and we'll come to that later, can lead to death. It's a medical fact, you can go and research it if you want, in your own time. Aside from that, a lack of touch, whether that's a physical touch or a verbal touch of someone's words and attention, maybe just not that they say nothing, they just listen to you. Which is why Chad Vera, the founder of the Samaritans, is famous for the saying, don't just do something, sit and listen. Which his point was that listening, you know, hence also the problem shared is a problem half. It's all well and good and it's true in many circumstances, but I personally don't want to be fucking listening to random strangers' emotional problems and issues. It becomes like Groundhog Day with emotional attention-seeking fuckwits. Don't want it, better things to do with my life. So, that is why I formulated Complete Mind Therapy and Cured, because you can cut all that bullshit out. But it's important to understand the power of it and its worth. Because those underlying reasons underpin why cured and CMT work, and why any talking therapy works when it does, when it's done right. And that is this: the real human needs are as follows. And this is being videoed and audioed, and it's in the course notes you download, but if you want to take notes you can, so you can start looking in a dictionary tomorrow. The real human needs is that a human being needs to, may not want to. There's some people out there who are strange, who consciously think they don't want these things, but they need them nonetheless to get rid of problems. To function effectively, okay, a human being needs to feel loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished and valued. Those things sound very similar, but if you take a note of the words loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, I know that's 2 words, cherished and valued, and check them out in a dictionary of thesaurus, they all, although they seem similar, mean very different things indeed. Some of them relate to somebody's self-esteem, some of them relate to somebody's self-confidence, some relate to their self-image, some relate to one or more of them, a combination thereof. But collectively together, if a human being has a deficiency in any area of their required, not necessarily desired, but required, needed levels of loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished and valued, if there's a deficiency in any of them, an imbalance, then it will have a knock-on effect on one or more of their levels of self-confidence, self-image, self-esteem, self-control, which is also a different way of saying willpower. And if there's any imbalance in any of their self-image, self-esteem, self-control or self-confidence, it will have a knock-on effect that means somewhere they will feel out of control or in pain or with a lack of self-worth or self-value or a lack of self-love. And they'll basically feel like shit. Maybe not consciously, extreme cases consciously, but underpinning any habit, addiction, fear, phobia, any issue, yes, a traumatic event could instill a phobia. We'll talk about that over the next few days. But the only reason it would have been able to instill a phobia is if that individual had a lacking in one or more of their feelings, required feelings of loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished and valued, which in turn means at that time they had an imbalance somewhere in their self-image, self-esteem, self-control or self-confidence, which means they were already feeling vulnerable or in pain or worthless to some degree, either consciously or unconsciously, or in extreme cases, both. Okay? So over here is pain, negativity, feeling shit, no self-worth, no self-love, caused through that rocky road at the beginning of something being imbalanced in the loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished and valued, causing something to be out of balance with self-image, self-esteem, self-control or self-confidence to lead to the end. The other side of that is this way. Final destination is pleasure, happiness, a feeling of self-worth and pride, the perfect you. And the way you get there, people can get there, is that they ensure that their environment is such that it feels as though it doesn't have to have a basis in reality. Remember, feelings are what people perceive or choose to accept. It isn't necessarily reality for anyone or everyone or anyone else. It's about the individual that matters. If they perceive something as helping them to feel loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished and valued, then it doesn't matter if everyone else on the planet thinks that's ridiculous. Because it's about that person, okay? So if they can acquire feelings of love, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished and valued, then that will help increase their levels of self-confidence, self-image, self-esteem, self-control. And if they are at full levels, then they will have a feeling of self-worth, pride, satisfaction, positive power, empowerment, pleasure, self-control. This end is pleasure, self-control. This end of the scale, pain, negativity, out of control. When you realise the truth of what I've just told you, which you will more so when you go to a dictionary and look up the meanings of the words, you'll realise that, yes, there could have been something that happened, their mother maybe screamed at a spider running across the kitchen when they were young. And that made them, from there on, whenever they saw a spider, see the spider and think, Mama screams when she sees them, so should I. And thus the rocky slide into phobia starts. That can be an element, but here's the thing. If that child felt totally safe and secure, they wouldn't be affected by the mother's scream. Now, I know the argument is, of course, they trust their mother, that's who they look for protection, so because of that, that's why they don't feel safe, because they think the mum's scared, so they should be. And of course, that's got a large amount of truth and facts. The trouble is that as we get older, these unconscious reactions can still occur when they're no longer appropriate, and consciously, people can know that, you know what, I shouldn't be scared of spiders anymore. It's daft, and I know it, and they know deep down why it occurred, but they still react the same way when they see a spider. Why is that? Well, you know why it is? It's for the same reason that we are required as therapists. Why we can wave the magic wand. It's because they need an excuse to remove all self-blame, shame, guilt and regret from themselves for not having got off their arse and sorted themselves out sooner. That's why it's true to say that, generally speaking, within the realms of ethics and laws, and I've just looked at my stage area and I really don't know how I've managed to make it move around. Me just walking, it's moving around, it's amazing. But yeah, if they were to, imagine this, we'll just call him Dave. Dave has taken too much cocaine and drunk too much alcohol every day of his life for the past 20 years. One day, Dave wakes up and he thinks, fuck this. You know what? Not going to drink anymore. Not going to take cocaine anymore. And he doesn't. And he's fully capable of doing that if he makes a determined decision and genuinely wants to. He genuinely could, and there's people out there that have done exactly that. They're in the minority, but the reason they're in the minority is for what I'm about to explain. Because then Dave leaves his house and he's walking around places he wouldn't normally, because he's not going to the pub for a drink, he's not going to score cocaine off a dealer. And he bumps into a family member or an old friend he's not seen for years. And they say, Dave, what are you up to? This may be maybe a week after he's stopped, so he looks a bit better as well in himself. He says, oh, you know, I'm just going shopping and I might go and see if I can get a job or something, you know. And they'll go, you what, Dave? Sorry to bring it up, but, you know, aren't you like, you know, drinking and taking too much drugs? And Dave said, no, I've stopped all that. And they go, oh, well, actually, we did think you look a lot better than you did last time we saw you. How did you do that, Dave? Oh, I just got up one morning, decided I'd stop and I stopped. What's the family member or friend going to say? They're going to say, you what? You just got up and decided to stop like that? And Dave goes, yeah. They say, are you having a fucking laugh, Dave? You've robbed money off family and friends or borrowed money and not paid it back for drink and drugs. And you could have just gone, no, stopped, as easy as that, like you're saying you have done now. Well, I suppose so, yeah. They're going to look a bit of a cunt. And what's worse is the family members and friends who should really focus on the, well, we've got Dave back, will keep bringing it up. Why didn't you do it sooner? And Dave's going to feel persecuted and attacked, and he's going to be pushed towards the negative end of the scale, because that reaction from family and friends is going to make him feel unloved, unwanted, unneeded, the opposite of what he wants. So it's going to have a knock-on effect on him. It's going to lead him towards pain. And because of state-dependent memory learning and behaviour, where when he's in that severe pain, he went to drugs and alcohol, he's going to what they call relapse and go back to doing it. Because then, when he sees the family and friends again, and he's relapsed and he's back doing it, they go, oh, you're back doing it? And he goes, yeah, I told you it wasn't that easy. I tried, but nobody would help. And he can become the victim again. Now, that could be an element of secondary gain, because then people will treat him as though, you know, oh, we're sorry, we should have helped. So that makes him feel worthy, and he gets attention that he felt he was lacking. But it means he stops getting attacked, more importantly. People will do more to avoid pain than they will to seek out pleasure. You'd think it was the other way around, but if something's painful enough, people will do what they can to move away from pain more so than they will do things that could bring them pleasure. Which becomes very important with the way complete mind therapy works when we get into that tomorrow. Because we're going to ramp the pain up to give them no choice but to change their life. So, that is why the people, they could do it for themselves, but they'd end up more often than not relapsing. That's why most people do. When they go through an important seeming ritualistic process, when they paid ideally a sizable amount of money, the more money the better, so they've attached a real value to it, financial value, to them. And that's relative to them, because if they're a multimillionaire, as I said before, what they attach as real value is going to be different than the man on the street. So you've got to gauge that. But it's got to be something they've got to save up for. It's got to be something that's a real investment, okay? So that they book the session for themselves because they're ready for change. What you're really selling them, although you can't tell them this, otherwise it's showing them behind the curtain on Wizard of Oz, what you're really selling them, more so in your marketing, you're not going to be a hypnotherapist or stage hypnotist. You're not going to offer them stop smoking in an hour or hypnosis show. You are going to offer them the life-changing, entertaining, memorable experience at their event, or the life-changing therapeutic encounter that means they can get the job or move in new social circles or whatever. But underpinning that, it's never said verbally, but they know deep down that they could change their lives for themselves, but unconsciously they won't, because they know they get attacked for not having got off their arse and done it sooner. That thing about the point of make or break, pivot point, where someone's truly ready for change, what it really is, although no one will ever verbalise it, is that they know deep down they should get off their arse and do something, and that they could, but then they'd probably get attacked in the way I've just said, which would lead to relapse or perhaps even getting worse. Whereas if they go through an important seeming ritualistic process, pay money out, come and see you, spend time with you, go through a ridiculous seeming, the more ridiculous the better, as you'll learn over the next few days. The more ridiculous some elements of the therapy seem to be, the more the only rational explanation the person can come to is that you're doing these ridiculous things because they work. Because nobody would do anything that ridiculous unless it worked. So by thinking that in their heads, trying to rationalise it, they will be convincing themselves it's working and will work. So they actually strengthen all the suggestions, rituals, metaphors, techniques that you use by being a bit ridiculous. You give them a safe, perceived scenario, an environment, your office, or a connection to you. We'll cover that a little bit before the end of today's session. So they feel safe, they believe you're an authority figure, you're good at what you do, they've seen the social proof, the testimonials from other clients whose lives have been changed. They've seen your local newspaper or regional or national newspaper or media stuff. They believe you're the one for them. But more than that, and this is maybe at an unconscious level, they know that you will give them the excuse, that suit of armour, to leave your office or leave their house once they've done the Zoom session or whatever, And in the case of our imaginary client before, this time let's imagine they've been to see you. You've gone through that important seeming ritualistic process with them. They no longer touch, drink or drugs. They bump into their old family and friends and they say, Dave, or whatever his name was, I've forgotten now, but we'll say Dave. They say, Dave, you're not drinking, you're not taking drugs. If it was that easy, why didn't you do it before? And Dave goes, I wish I had, but I couldn't. You see, I had that problem for years, but then I read about this wonderful therapist, or I got told about this wonderful therapist, and I had to save up to go and see them. I really did want to change, but I needed to save up. And then I got to see them. There's a waiting list because they're so remarkably good at what they do that when I booked the session and paid in advance for it, that I had to wait 5-6 weeks to go and see them. And I was only lucky enough to see them that quick because they'd had a cancellation. The normal waiting list is 3 to 6 months. That's how good they are. So I wish I could have done it sooner, but the key thing is, I'm right now. And that gives his family and friends no room to be human and go, well, you should have done it sooner, you fuckwit. Because he's explained he needed to save up. He didn't know about the existence of this person. So he's got the perfect excuse for not having done it sooner. The perfect reasons. They can't attack him. They can only go, oh, well, there you go then, or well done. In other words, any blame, shame, guilt or regret, feelings of self-blame, shame, guilt or regret he could have had himself or for not having done it sooner, or that could have been enforced upon him through the negative reaction scenario we went through before, can't happen, don't happen. The only reactions you can get are ones of, well, it's a shame you couldn't have done it sooner, but at least you have done. Well done, good luck in life. Things that make him feel worthwhile and empower him and send him to positivity and pleasure. Concreting those changes that he has made of his own accord, really, because the important seeming ritualistic process is essentially bollocks. It doesn't really matter what you do in that bit as long as you do it with a straight face and deliver it with conviction, confidence and a positive intent that it will work so that the client picks up on it and thinks, this person knows what they're doing. I've seen the testimonials of the people they've helped. I've seen the media of how wonderful they are. This must be what makes it work, so it's working for me. So they do all the work themselves. It's just that we're giving them protective armour to walk out of the office with, where all self-blame, shame, guilt and regret is removed from them. So that they can, metaphorically, leave that baggage behind that gets talked about in therapy and walk away feeling a sense of freedom, self-worth and self-love. And I hope that makes sense, because that truly is the key to everything. And it's the key to stage hypnosis as well. Because here's the thing. I probably did more stage hypnosis shows from the age of 15 to the age of 25 than most stage hypnotists in the world do in their career. Because there was a stage hypnosis industry in England in the late 80s through to about the mid to late 90s that meant you could be doing multiple shows a day, 7 days a week. Doesn't exist now. It went tits down, big style, mid 90s onwards. But I was fortunate to get in towards, well, during and for the heyday. So I did thousands upon thousands of shows, and in every venue imaginable. I can tell you now, you can disagree with me all you want, but I'm telling you now that stage hypnosis is bullshit. No hypnotist has ever hypnotised anyone on stage or in therapy. Just create an environment where they believe something's gone on. On stage, you're giving people an excuse where at the end of the show they can go back to the audience and say one of two things. And it doesn't matter whether you've told them they'll remember everything and they'll forget. People fall into one of two categories. They fall into the category that goes back at the end of the show and says to their friends, I can't remember anything. What did I do? They know full fucking well what they did. They're attention-seeking whores, but they've got the perfect excuse that you, the hypnotist, made them do it. So any self-blame, shame, guilt or regret is removed from them. But they want to pretend they don't remember, because by doing that they know that their friends have to tell them what they did, and the friends go, oh, you were hilarious, you made you do this, you did that, and they're getting more. They're the centre of attention. The 15 minutes of fame goes on a bit longer. They feel loved, wanted, needed, appreciated, cared for, cherished and valued. You get it? Refer back to what we said earlier. That's the benefit to them. Just as the laughter and applause on stage, when framed correctly by the stage hypnotist, the audience aren't laughing at you, they're laughing with you for using your powers of intelligence, imagination and concentration effectively, and being the stars of this evening's show. So it makes them feel valued. The more the audience laugh, the better they feel. The more they clap, the better they feel, and they can't be blamed because the hypnotist made them do it. Or you get the people who go back and go, oh, I can remember, I can't believe he made me do that, which is again removing all self-blame, shame, guilt and regret from them. I can't believe he or she made me do that, I just couldn't stop myself doing it. And again, the people go, oh, well, you were wonderful. They're the centre of attention. It's about that hierarchy of needs that I've just explained to you. All of it is. I could break this down into how that's necessary for the sales process, but if you get the book that I mentioned to you before and showed you on camera, that's kind of where it will go with it. It's the key to pretty much everything and anything in life. The true art of persuasion and manipulation and suggestion and control, which is what hypnosis really is to make people feel safe and make them feel the desire to do whatever you want them to do, so that it feels that they want to do it and they do it because they feel it's beneficial to them. And that might seem too simplistic, but if you watch the replay of today's sessions and take notes, I've given you the core there, the bottom line core, since we've started, on how to create a mind control slave, on how to create an assassin, on how to create sex slaves, on how to get people to do things they don't want to do. But I'm not going to spell it out in black and white for two reasons. A, I don't want you doing it because it's illegal, immoral, unethical, and you shouldn't be doing it. But I will spell it out a little bit more tomorrow when we explain the complete mind therapy session, because some elements of those nefarious techniques of mind control are what are going to make you the leading therapist in your niche when you use the complete mind therapy session correctly, as I will teach you tomorrow. Because when you create such massive pain in that person's personal laptop computer, memory bank, unconscious, subconscious, call it what you will, to such a level that it's so painful, the only way they can escape that pain, and they will want to, is to immediately, in that second, in that moment, that very instant, in your office, to cut the ties psychologically to anything and everything that was holding them back from continuing to do what they've started the moment they come through your door. Because the moment you connect on that session or they come through your door, you talk in terms that they've left it behind. So, before you came here today, you used to be a smoker. How many did you used to smoke? And they might go, oh, I smoke 40 a day. You go, no, you don't. Before you came in here, you did, but you don't now. How many did you used to smoke? And you've got to be that adamant and dominant. And there's people talk about permissive hypnotherapy. Bullshit. The hypnosis that works long-term, rapidly, effectively, in one session is authoritarian. I'm taking no shit. You're the fuckwit client. You're paying me money to change your life. So you'll fucking listen. I'm right. You're wrong, dickhead. Right? Are you ready to change your life? Yes. That kind of attitude. I'm not saying you should use that wording with the client. Some of them, they're probably going to get upset by that kind of wording. But you know what? There are some clients that I will be that offensive to. Especially millionaire, heads up their arse, celebrities who think they rule the world, who are surrounded by yes men, management companies and stuff. Them, you really need to bring them down a peg or two. You've really got to take control if you want to get them off drugs and stuff, because they don't give a shit. But you've got to make them give a shit. And the way to do that is through pleasure and pain manipulation. Because what they're doing at the minute, they're getting some sense of pleasure from taking the drugs or the drink or being addicted to sex or whatever. You've got to make it so painful to carry on with that the only way they can get pleasure is to avoid those things that they've been doing up till now and do other things instead. Or in the case of clients who maybe are scared of public speaking, and by becoming confident and feeling calm about public speaking will be able to take a job promotion, say, and get better wages and improve their life in so many other ways. Currently they're scared of that and there's a load of pain to the idea of doing it. You've got to make it so pleasurable for them to get up and talk to a group of people that the thought or idea of not doing is so painful that their only option is to go and do it as they wanted to. You're rewiring the plug. If they're currently doing something they don't want to do, it's because on some level they're getting a gain or a pleasure from doing it. So you need to make it painful to carry on and pleasurable not to. Or if they're not doing something that they want to, then it's because they're getting pleasure by not doing it and pain by the thought of doing it, and you've got to reverse that to make it painful not to do it, pleasurable to do it. And it truly is as simple as that, and that is why tomorrow, when we're going to complete mind therapy, I will really be using some very potentially psychologically disturbing, disgusting scenarios. And yes, I do